Today we're going to do a lab on simple harmonic motion. We're going to be looking at a pendulum, and what I have here is a pendulum device on a stand. It has a small protractor here to measure angles. It has a peg that I can thread the string through for a pendulum, and I have 3 pendulum bobs, a small, a medium, and I've got a large down there as well. And we're going to look at the effect of both the mass of the pendulum bob, small, medium, and large. We're going to look at the angle of displacement or the amplitude of the swing. So if I start from a small distance or a big distance. We're also going to look at the length of the string. First thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the mass of the pendulum bob. So I'm going to measure all 3 of the pendulum bobs. I'm going to get their period, and I'm going to do that at the same angle, which I'm going to select 15 degrees, and I'm going to measure the same length, which will be 40 centimeters long. First thing I need to do is I'm going to thread the string up through. There's a small hole in this peg here, and once I have threaded that through, I can turn this, tighten it, not too much, just a little bit, and it will hold the pendulum bob where it needs to be. Next, I'm going to measure, and I want to get 40 centimeters. Now, this meter stick is too long, so the bottom of this is at 3.2 centimeters, so I'm going to have to measure down to 43.2. So I want to get the center mass of the pendulum bob to be right here. I'm going to unscrew this just a little bit, loosen it, and I'm going to pull it up through the hole. There's not. Sure enough, there it is. Yeah. I'll pull this up until I get 43.2 for the center of mass of the pendulum. Tighten it up. Hold it in place. Now I'm ready to get my first measurement. First, a little bit about recording the period of the pendulum. You're going to do that by counting 10 swings of the pendulum and then dividing by 10, and you're going to be timing it the whole time. So if you don't have a stopwatch, you can use your phone. So you'll start off, get your stopwatch going, and don't try to start your timer right when you let go. That's a total waste of time. The pendulum is going to swing for a long time. So instead, start your pendulum swinging, and then when it reaches the top of one side or the other, then you're going to say, you're going to hit go. Don't start with 1, because that's really 0. So I'm going to use this side to start counting, and I'm going to say, on your marks, get set, go. 1, 2, 3, stop. So now I know that I've gotten 10 complete swings, and then I have my time here, and I can divide by 10 and figure out the period for 1 swing. I'm going to displace this to 15 degrees, and I will zoom in on this with the camera so that you can see it. But I want it to be 15 degrees for every trial so that we're doing the same thing every time. And then we're going to count 10 swings. I'll let you count to get the period after you divide by 10. Okay, that was the small pendulum bob. Loosen this. That's that knot. Do the medium pendulum bob with the same distance and the same displacement or amplitude. So again, I'm going to need this to be 40 centimeters. And my bottom is at 40, this is 3.2. is 43, 42. There we go. $15. You should have enough there. The last thing that we're going to do is look at the large pendulum bob. It's a very, very big and heavy one. Oops. $15. The next part of the experiment, we're going to look using only the medium pendulum bob and only the 40 centimeters, and we're going to look at the difference between amplitudes. We're going to look at 10 degrees, 15 degrees, and 20 degrees and see if that affects the period of the pendulum. So first we'll look at 10 degrees. Now we're going to look at a higher amplitude, greater angle, right up here. This would be 15 degrees. And the last thing we'll do is we'll look at it, the greatest angle, we'll look at 20 degrees. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the effect of the length of string on the period of the pendulum. We're going to look at 3 different lengths. We're going to look at 20, 40, and 60 centimeters. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten this up to get 20 centimeters. I could just leave it here, but then we'd be collecting our middle data point first. And that just somehow doesn't seem right. We'll release them all from the same angle of 15 degrees. This is 15 degrees with the medium bob and 20 centimeters with the string. Now we'll lengthen the string to 40 centimeters. This is where it was before. Again, 15 degrees. And lastly, we're going to look at 60 centimeters. And it looks like you can't see the plumb bob or the pendulum bob on the screen, so I'll lower this down just a little bit. Now you can just barely see it right here at the bottom. We'll do 15 degrees again. And okay, remember that you're counting 10 and divide by 10. I like to count every time it reaches a peak, and then when it comes back to this spot, that's one full cycle. You're welcome to count as it passes the center, but be careful that you don't count it both ways because it passes both ways in one cycle. So that's 1, 2, 3, and so on. It's easier to calculate it or to count from one end and then divide by 10 to get your period in seconds.